everybody out there in Radio Land, and welcome to another edition of Hollywood Today. I'm your host, Brad Evans, and joining me in the studios of WCAN Radio is my friend and co-host, Mr. Tim Sember. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
I am too. This beautiful fall day.
Yeah, it is.
Back in the studios.
Beautiful fall day. Yeah, you know what? I'm happy because I'm a cold weathered guy. So
right.
You know, I'm happy that the heat and the humidity's over. Although it wasn't too bad of a summer. But the thing is, you recently got to see a movie.
Yes,
I have not been able to see yet.
I love to see movies. I don't get to do it too often, but I went. I splurged. I went to see Gravity, and I saw the IMAX 3D version. So, and that was a great movie with, of course, George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, and they're in space. I won't give it away to the people who want to go see it, but it was really cool special effects. You know, so cool. It was worth seeing it in the 3D, whatever you call it, IMAX.
No, is it true? Because I've heard some people talk about it here and there. They said it was only the two of them, pretty much.
No, there was maybe a cast of 5 total,
really,
or 6, but
okay.
It was pretty much focused on Sandra.
Okay.
So the whole time,
all
but
right, cool.
a good movie.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And television, I can't believe. Are you not watching The Walking Dead, or have you just kind of gave up on that series?
It's not that I gave up on the series. I've been so busy, it's hard for me to catch up on all these series, so I'm going to have to Netflix it. Everyone does,
You have
right?
to. That is such an awesome show. It's so well produced, and the special effects are wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. I've always loved that program. I mean, for the first few seasons that I saw, I thought it was great. And, I've always said the sound is probably one of the best really sound in television I've heard in a long time. It's just, it is good. It's a good program.
Well, they do the whole thing in Atlanta, so I don't know. Maybe
the whole thing, everything in Atlanta.
If there's any casting director listening, I may just, submit myself and give me a little part down there. I got family in Atlanta, so why not go down and have a great time being on.
Sounds good. I'd like
on a hit show.
Like to see you dead.
That's right.
Just kidding.
Well, let's get on with today's show. I'm so happy to have our guest with us today. Tim, he is the star of the new hit show on the Hallmark Channel called Cedar Cove.
Hey, come on out here. You got to see this.
Coming.
Come on, stand down here beside me for the full effect.
Wait, do I need special glasses so I don't burn my retinas?
Are you excited to see this or not?
Yes. Here. Let her rip. Stunning. It's just magical.
Yeah. Take that in the Stanton.
Please welcome Mr. Bruce Boxleitner. Bruce, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you.
Great to talk with you again.
And Tim, you need to get out and go see a movie once in a while.
Yeah,
okay?
I do.
Just put things aside. Gravity is an incredible picture. And by the way, it just, every weekend, it's still, I think this is 3 weeks in a row now. It's been the king of the box office.
Oh, has it really?
Really?
Overseas as well, yeah.
Shame on me.
Like last weekend, it made $31 million, which most pictures don't make in 2 weeks.
Wow. That's great.
Oh, God. But anyway, it's good to be here.
Yeah.
I wish I was in Gravity, but anyway.
I'm telling you. Well,
I was in outer space once, but...
yeah, you've done all those space movies, our TV shows, Babylon 5.
Oh, yeah.
Tron and everything else.
Yeah.
So, well
I've been in cyberspace and in outer space.
In outer space.
Cyberspace.
Well, Bruce, I know that you saw Gravity, but do you ever see The Walking Dead? I'm sure you've heard of it.
Oh, of course I have, and I like Tim. I saw it first. Some of I don't. It's funny. I do television for a living, and I watch very little of it.
Right, I hear you.
I sample it. I did like it early on when I saw it, but I somehow drifted away. It's like most of these shows. You have to you have to really invest yourself.
Yeah, you do.
So you just get the seasons. I'll probably end up doing that. I do have to say to you, I mean, other than I know it's well acted, I know it's well done, but I'm getting tired of zombies. I really am.
Yeah, that's the craze now. For
I saw World War Z, and what a dreadful picture.
I saw that too.
And I have a slight acquaintance with Max Brooks, and I did his audio book for it as well. I played a character in the audio book of World War Z. When I finally saw the picture, I just thought it was a mess. Yeah. There were some great set pieces, terrific visually, and how did they do that? But basically, the story just was very, I don't know. I just wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, I didn't like the ending either.
Just fell apart to me.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway,
Right.
that's, you know,
Right.
you try your best when you're making pictures, and
Yeah,
sometimes
that's
it doesn't
true.
always turn out. But apparently, it was very successful. So
Yeah.
they'll argue that. But I don't know. I Walking Dead. I do a lot of the conventions, a lot of the pop culture conventions, Comic Cons, and Walking Dead has a huge presence there. So who am I to argue with success?
Oh, have you met some of the actors yet, or not? Not really at those conventions.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Andrew Lincoln.
African American actor, Caldwell. Chad Caldwell.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about him later because I'm very interested in him for this piece that I'm series that I'm producing.
Yeah.
He would be high on the list to cast.
I'm sure he'd be glad to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, we've already approached him on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, when things become real, then that's when you really approach them. So
that sounds good. Sounds good. Well, Bruce, let's talk about your new hit show called Cedar Cove on the Hallmark Channel. Congratulations on that, because I'm hearing it got picked up for a second season. So
yes,
that's
we did.
always
Yes, we
a
did.
good
I'm very
thing
proud
to
of
hear.
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not the star of it. I think the very beautiful Andy McDowell is the star of it.
Oh, yes, she is beautiful.
It's a wonderful ensemble piece, and I'm one of the ensemble.
Okay.
But it's hard. No zombies there.
You're right. It's up in a beautiful country, I heard, right?
Yeah, up in
Shoots
Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yeah.
And it's based on this lady, Debbie Maycomber's books, Cedar Cove series, which I had no knowledge of prior to joining the show.
Right.
And I joined it rather quickly. There was some people replaced, which isn't unusual when you do the pilot. And then you do anyway, I was called up very rapidly. I had about 2 days' time to consider the deal and sign on to it. And, there's an old adage, you don't turn down a firm offer.
That's true.
So, and you got to be out there. As an actor, you've got to be out there. And yeah, I signed on. I liked the material. I said, yes, sounds good. And I was off to British Columbia 2 days later and working on a day later after that. So
sounds like an
sometimes
actor's dream.
these things happen. But it's a great show. It's much tamer than Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But,
well, for those who
but,
haven't seen it, what's the storyline, Bruce? What's it about?
well, basically, it's the lives and stories of this small town in the Pacific Northwest coast in contemporary time, and all these various characters. And she's had over 170 million sold, so something's clicking with her books. But Hallmark has done a very fine job casting, and it's just engrossing characters. And I think the secret of its success, it's been, we just finished last week, was it last weekend or weekend before that? We just finished this first season. But I think it's successful. It's number one for its time slot on Saturday nights in cable television, and I think that's says something. And I think it's sort of the anti all of these other shows, vampires, and it's for people that want a little something not quite that, less edgy.
Right, exactly.
But the thing is, its positive thing is, I think that characters are relatable. Storylines are relatable, and it's about the lives and loves and the travails of these people in this town. It's a beautiful little town, and as Hallmark says, it's it has heart, and so that's what it is. It's more of those. Someone would think probably old-fashioned, but it's more about character stories and development and relationships and all that sort of thing, and what goes on in this little town.
That's great. And there's still a market for that. A lot of people like those
well, there is.
shows.
There is a market for that. And I think it's also television for the most part you can watch with your whole family, but we do have some little racier elements and things too.
I'll have to TiVo that or DVR that.
But Andy McDowell is certainly a lovely lady, and to look at her on screen is not a bad thing.
Yeah, so, she's a beautiful lady.
She's a beautiful lady.
Yeah. So when do you go back and start shooting for season
I'm told
2?
the end of February we'll ramp up again. For March, April, May, June. And those are some of the most beautiful months up there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We still have the rain and some of the mistiness, and that is the Pacific Northwest up there. And but then it gets into some beautiful sunshiny, blue, big puffy clouds and beautiful water and vistas and stuff. We have these beautiful places called Deep Cove, Fort Langley, all in the environs of Vancouver itself, and these big pine-covered, forested, mountainous islands and stuff out there. It's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous backdrop.
Yeah, and they do a lot of filming up in or shooting up in Vancouver. There's a
Absolutely,
lot of studios
absolutely.
up
We
there now.
did
a lot of TV shows.
Yeah, we did Tron Legacy 3 years ago up there. That was shot entirely in Vancouver.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of big features. I know they just did the latest Godzilla and all. When they big feature films tend to shoot there, all your X-Men and those kind of things were shot up there.
Wow.
All those big genre things. So
cool.
yeah, and there's a lot of TV series. Yeah.
Yeah.
It lends itself. There's all kinds of aside from tax breaks and those technical things, it just lends itself. There's so many different looking areas. British Columbia itself, you can find so many. It can be anywhere, wherever your story takes place.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a beautiful city. On top of that, they should hire me for the tourist bureau. I don't know what's going on here.
There you go. Shoot a commercial with you in it.
And I'm not even Canadian.
You're right. There you go.
No, that's great. I've been going up there for many years shooting things. A lot of TV movies I did in the past were shot there. They're in Toronto. Toronto is the other one.
Yeah, Toronto's another one. Yeah, Toronto's more closer to us. We're here in Cleveland, Ohio area, so it's just north of us.
But Toronto also, if they don't shoot, but we're the states. It's a technical thing too. That back in the 80s, 90s, early 90s, everyone was rushing up there for these tax incentive things.
Yes.
But now other states here are competing heavily with them.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about that. By the way, they're competing heavily. Come to, wherever.
Yeah, we had a few movies here this summer here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, how common is that?
Yeah. I mean, over the years, but it's really, like you said, in the recent years, with all these tax breaks and everything, now
I mean, states have caught on that, come to our state. We'll give you this, this, and this. This is what we have to offer.
Right.
More for your money.
Right.
So, Louisiana, New Mexico, Texas has been doing it. I mean, all...
Atlanta, yeah.
Atlanta, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
For many years. So, Hollywood is everywhere now, guys.
That's true. Can't get away from it.
No, you can't.
Well, also let's talk about on the Hallmark Channel. You've got a Thanksgiving movie coming up. That's
I'm Mr. Holidays this year. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Holiday. But I didn't
I've got
realize
Thanksgiving covered.
Well, Bruce, I didn't realize when I talked with you last that Lindsay Wagner. You're in it with Lindsay Wagner.
Lindsay Wagner,
wow.
Bionic Woman.
I've always loved her.
Yeah, she's terrific, and we play husband and wife in this, and it's the story of our son. It's basically this: where we live is where around the plot that the original one of the original Thanksgiving celebrations in colonial America at that time was held there, and the place is in danger of being sold or what have you, and he tries to keep it there. So it's a good story. It's a good Hallmark story. Hallmark specializes in these holiday things. After all, it's Hallmark cards,
Yeah, and family.
That's where they started.
Yeah.
So Lindsay and I did a miniseries back in, I want to say late 80s, 89, 90, somewhere around there. What the heck was it called? It's something. It was about she kept seeing dead people. This was way before
they, right,
that
one movie.
The
Yeah.
Sixth Sense.
I See Dead People.
Yeah, The Sixth Sense. Yeah.
Yeah, Sixth Sense, and I play her a sort of a archaeologist type of guy that's into all kinds of knows all these ancient things. And anyway, we go through it, but we end up together in the end.
That sounds familiar. Well, that's great. Well, then I just
Dawn of the Dead. No, not Dawn of the Dead. What was it? It was about that the Hispanic Celebration del Morte.
Yes, yeah, I know what
and
you're
it
talking
takes
about.
place during that, and oh my gosh, it was fun for NBC.
Awesome.
And so it's been good to see her again, and so.
Well, that'll be, just to tell the fans out there, that's going to be on the Hallmark Channel on November the 2nd, Saturday, November 2nd from 8 to 10 p.m. So make sure you mark that on your calendars. And
thank you. I'm glad you had that date.
Absolutely.
I forgot.
well, Bruce, I hope you have the other date to the other holiday movie, because you said you're Mr. Holiday Man. So
yes, I have one called Silver Bells.
That's right. So for Christmas time, then you wait for the next month, and we got Bruce coming back, and it's called Silver Bells, and it's at the end of December, but I don't have the exact date in front of me. And Bruce, do you remember the channel it was on? Because it was not on Hallmark; it was another channel, and
it's called Up.
Up.
It's
that's right. Up TV.
Yeah, Up TV. It's a brand new cable channel, but it's sort of it's a Wonderful Life type of story, and I loved it. I was in every scene, so.
Oh, hey, as an actor,
he's a fun character, a very fun character. His name is Bruce Dalt. So this is the first time I've ever played a Bruce.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of disconcerting at first when people were saying Bruce to me.
Right, and you're like, huh?
And I go, what? What do you want? Oh,
right.
Yes, okay. So.
Or when the other actor would call you by Bruce, you're like, no, my character name. Oh, that's right, it is Bruce.
Yeah. Or some AD is calling Bruce, and I'm going, no, what? And I totally ignore him.
Right. So I'm just going to ignore the name Bruce. I don't care. Just call me Jake for today if you really want to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Well,
but
Bruce,
that's an actor's life.
So you roll with the punches. Well, let me ask you. Now, when you got your beginning, now you're from the Midwest, near Chicago, correct? So
yes, northwest of Chicago. I was born
Midwestern here.
Elgin, Illinois, but I lived in Crystal Lake and Mount Prospect.
Oh, another beautiful part of the country. Do you ever get back home?
I'm going back for Christmas to see my mother and father this year.
Awesome.
I haven't been able to in the last few years. Sometimes they've come out. I'm very blessed to still have them.
Yes.
But it's getting harder for them. So I'm going to go back and see them for a few days.
That sounds great.
It's strange because I started in Chicago as a young actor, and I went to drama school there. That drama school doesn't even exist there anymore. It was at the Art Institute of Chicago, and it's called the Goodman Theater. And now it's a very prestigious. It was a very prestigious drama school and regional theater at the time, and that's where I started in 1968, 69, somewhere around there.
Wow. Okay.
And way back.
That's cool, though.
But Chicago is a fabulous city, and
it is.
I do love it. It has the best of everywhere else, I think. I mean, New York, they always call it the second city, but I think it's. I love New York. Don't get me wrong. I was there a few weeks ago, but I love Chicago. I guess maybe it's just because that's where I started, theater and everything.
Yeah.
My first successes were there.
And then you went to Broadway as well, right? Right after
Chicago? Yeah, right with a play that we started in Chicago. We took it to Broadway, and it had a very brief run there. But it got me started in that neck of the woods.
And weren't you with someone called Ted? Somebody?
A guy, I don't know whatever happened to him, a guy named Ted Danson.
Right, Ted Danson.
Some guy, this happens. It's horrible. Actors just disappear. I hear he's running a bar in Boston.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Bartender,
I heard.
someplace up there. Cheers bar or something.
I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but I did get to work with his beautiful wife, Mary Steenburgen, on 30 Rock. Yeah, I love Mary. She is awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure that I've never met them together, but we sat and reminisced. It was a number of years ago. They had the 75th anniversary of NBC, and my wife at the time, Liz Gilbert, was a big part of NBC's success in the 70s there with the Little House on the Prairie. So we attended it. It was at 30 Rock and everything, and I think it was like 2002 or 3, somewhere around 2, I think. And I managed to sit down with him, and here we are looking at each other's gray hair, commenting about how different things were. But it was funny. He's a very funny, charming man, and very successful.
Yep, always like we said before,
Wonderful
always
actor.
like to see good people, nice people. That make it. They're successful.
Another guy who has only delivered the best, and no notorious behavior. That I don't know. That seems to be kind of,
Yeah.
it gets boring.
Yeah.
Watching these people do those things.
Well, then, after that, then you went on. I think it was your first TV role, right? You were on the Mary Tyler
Moore Show, the very first job I had.
Man, what
really
was that?
First job.
Wow.
I had about 4 or 5 lines. I know these fans, they dig these shows up and remind me how long my hair was then.
that must have been awesome, though.
It was, because that was a show that our family watched.
Yeah.
I mean, it had already been on like 6, 7, 8 years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And when I just got a small part on it, I read for the producer, Ed Weinberger, at the time. My agent took me in, and we read for him, and it was like 4 lines or whatever it was, somewhere around 4 or 5 lines. And but I was very thrilled by it, because I got to spend most of my time in the rehearsals and everything with Ted Knight.
Oh, yeah.
And playing Ted Barry, look who I found in the mail room here, Mary. Oh my God, he was hilarious.
Wow.
And, it was in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
So I was very much used to the theater. I had little or no real film experience yet. And so it was a nice way to, come in here.
Right.
Because I just came out here on my own.
Wow.
I had a one-way ticket to Los Angeles and some cash in my pocket and some pieces of paper with phone numbers on them from friends that I knew that were living out here, and an agent number that I was to look up when I got out here, and pretty much started that way. And after hitting around a little bit, I managed to get on roles on all these shows at the time. Gunsmoke was still playing. I did a Gunsmoke episode. That would later be a very fortuitous show, because it got me in front of those people.
Oh, yeah.
And then I later did a series with James Arness called How the West was one of my first big break in the business then.
Yeah.
But I did all these little bit parts and stuff like that, guest star parts, hitting around Beretta and Policewoman and all these shows. And Hawaii Five-0, I did 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
The original 5-0. And that's what happens. You start showing up,
That's awesome. You got to work, I said, with James Arness. I think it was his last.
Yes, I did that for 3
project.
years.
Yeah.
He truly was a huge influence in my life. He didn't set out to be, but he led by example. And I always thought of Jim later on, and when I had leads in my own television series, that his behavior and how would he handle things. And because I saw it,
Yeah.
This was a man that was on television, probably still in the longest-running hour-long drama, which was Gunsmoke. It was 21 years. So he certainly worked with everybody, and I think Dick Wolf's Law and Order almost came to that.
Yeah.
And I think, but I'm talking strictly just hour dramas.
Right. Right.
With a fairly all the same cast.
Yeah.
Which was another thing too. They had Burt Reynolds got his star on Gunsmoke. Oh my God, so many people did.
Yeah. And that's why I love to hear an actor's journey story, like how they.
And I did one of their last ones. I mean, that was on the last season, 1975.
Wow. That
was one of the first jobs, and I was so appalled when I saw it. I was so embarrassed that these people will never hire me again. Well, strangely enough, not much of about half a year later, I was with them.
Yeah.
So
you had the
at
look,
MGM,
and you had the look and the talent. So there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, I know time's just zipping by here real quick. We do want to get you a couple emails. Some of your fans out there.
That.
So Tim, got one.
All right, this comes from Chris in Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
He writes, I am a huge fan of your work in the 1982 hit movie Tron. What is your favorite sci-fi movie of all time?
Oh, my gosh, that's so hard to answer. It's a tough question because I've probably got a number of them. I would have to say, first of all, I would have to say that the one that first really just, I loved the older ones that I saw on television as a kid, The Forbidden Planet and The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is still an incredible story, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, things like that. But I would have to say, when I was first really becoming aware as a young student actor, as well as taking film courses, I would have to say 2001: A Space Odyssey. that really opened my mind to something broader than just monster flicks and creature feature type of things. It just was at the time was such an event film. I can't tell you guys. Oh, yeah. I mean, people may look at it now and go, "Yeah, what's the big deal?" But at the time,
right,
it was such a departure from the narrative form of movie that it just struck people. And I know for my generation, it was like one of the seminal films. I would have to say also Blade Runner. That was another 1982 bomb, like Tron was. And yet those movies have lived on.
That's right, with a huge
fan
base still.
Blade Runner still influences the look of and the feel of current science fiction films, especially dystopian type dramas. I would have to say one of those two films, but it's a real difficult question.
Well, here we have
there's so many for so many reasons.
Oh yeah, I know there's.
I love some of the great stuff that's being done now. I mean, sci-fi has grown up, and look at television; it's actually doing science fiction stuff on mainstream stations. I mean, they don't always last, but we're doing them,
Right.
And for a long time, science fiction was just not considered adult.
Adult, right? Well, Bruce, we do have another quick email here. This is coming in from Richard in Toronto, Canada.
Toronto.
To the north of us here. They say, "Hey, Bruce and Brad, I loved you and Scarecrow and Mrs. King." Of course, we're going to mention that. How is Kate Jackson? Do you still keep up with her?
I have talked to her over the last couple of years. I haven't seen her physically, but I have talked to her over the last couple of years. And and what's fun about it, talking to Kate, is like we had never left 30 years, or whatever it is ago, 30 years ago now.
I have always loved her, Bruce. I don't know, I just have always liked her.
She's terrific. We had such a creative relationship together on Scarecrow and Mrs. King. That was probably my most popular, to tell you the truth, of television mainstream shows. And it was that wonderful pairing with her. She had such a great comedic sense and an improvisational sense. She still does. I'm not saying she doesn't. But that was a fond memories. And yes, once in a while we do talk.
Well, that sounds great. Well, Bruce, unfortunately, time has just zipped by. We got
zipped
to run.
By.
But I do want to encourage everyone, and we didn't even get a chance to touch on Rise again, but I do.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
but
okay.
I want to encourage people, though, to go to the Facebook, which is facebook.com/LanternCityTV.
LanternCityTV.com as well.
You can find out what Bruce has got going on with producing Rise and the Lantern City, which is an illustrated novel, and you can find out all about that, which is the next project he's working on. And
also,
Bruce,
can I add one thing, gentlemen?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm constantly asked now about a third Tron movie.
Yeah.
I say I know as much as anybody else who may look on YouTube and those type of things. I know it's sometime this next year, but I don't have anything. So if there are any more questions out there, I don't have any more details than that. Then I think that it's still in the works, and obviously the powers that be will eventually announce that. It'll be very exciting.
Sounds good. Well, and then we want to tell people they can connect with you on Facebook, which I believe is Boxleitner Bruce, right?
That's right.
Okay, just
Facebook,
the reverse.
That's
and
right.
You can find out and keep up with Bruce, what he's got going on, and remind about Cedar Cove, his TV show, his 2 movies, holiday movies he's got coming out. And Bruce, as always, thank you, buddy. Come back
Brad,
anytime.
Tim, it's so good talking to you.
All right, and then be sure to tell our friends hello. You're going to be on the Home and Family Show this Thursday. So
I will do that.
People can check you out on there as well. Well, Bruce, I'd like to thank you again, and thank you, Tim, for joining me on another successful Hollywood Today show. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep living your dreams, and have a wonderful evening.